Birds of a feather flock together. Are you at all surprised that given current events, it has become perfectly obvious that Trumpism is Putinism and Putinism is Trumpism? These two are one and the same, two peas in a pod, two vile thugs who lie every time they open their mouth and who either claim, in the case of Trump, or sort of radiate, in the case of Putin, some kind of amazing intelligent competence when in fact, using favorite Orange menace words, both are dumber than a rock. Or, as George W. Bush might have said, these two men are masters of strategery. Well, as it turns out, two very important planetary cycles that will soon be in play will tell us just how smart these two really are, and my prediction is the answer will be not very. Trump has engaged in one form of criminality or other all his life, but in recent years, when he was president, he ramped up his crime game by engaging in multiple violations of the law, and then he made sure to put the icing on the cake with his attempt to overturn an election he so obviously lost. And as 2022 kicked in, and especially as we reached the spring point this year, it's becoming more and more clear that the walls are closing in on the Mar-a-Lago scoundrel because of very negative legal exposure on multiple fronts. Some go back years in regard to his business, and in other cases from the more recent infractions, most notably the January 2021 insurrection. Meanwhile, his Russian counterpart in the gangster business took it upon himself to invade a country with the intent to annex and destroy it, but without first correctly gauging the landscape or what might be needed in order to successfully accomplish the goal. And now he finds himself leading a $2 trillion economy that is battling a confluence of countries worth $40 trillion. These are not good odds for success, and although like Trump, upon finding himself in a losing position, he just talks like he's actually winning, well, gaslighting works for a while, but eventually you run out of gas and then you get no light. Astrologically, these two are linked in 2022 through two mid-year cycles of Saturn and Jupiter that are going to prove anything from difficult to impossible. In Trump's case, the Saturn station at 25 degrees in early June might seem like a good thing via the trine to his sun, but opposing his rising Mars becomes very ominous given the connection of Mars to his legal ninth house and broadcasts upcoming serious developments in that realm. And the reinforcing cycle is Jupiter, because this planet can be the great benefactor in different circumstances, but here it is moving toward a station in the 9-degree Aries range that is due to happen in late July, and therefore will set off his infamous Access Hollywood T-square made by Neptune, Mercury, and Eris. This tells us that June and July are really tough months. But due to the station effect, you really have to include May and August as well. So basically, a 4-month swath with a hellish feeling for the Orange menace. And as for Putin, the same Saturn station links much too closely to an opposition to his Pluto, which is basically a different flavor of the same message he got when his underperforming army was pushed out of Western Ukraine. So one can only wonder how successful it will be in Eastern Ukraine, because the NATO alliance seems hell-bent on arming Ukraine to the teeth. And as it turns out, the Jupiter station in Aries not only happens in a sign opposite his natal sign, which immediately isn't good, but the degrees put it in sesquiquadrate, 135 degrees, to that same Pluto that Saturn is hammering. So bottom line, a lousy 4 months for the Russian thug. So like I said earlier, we have here two birds of a feather, but two birds for whom the middle of 2022 is going to make for very difficult flying conditions. Nothing like Jupiter and Saturn both clipping your wings at the same time. Well, too bad for them, because really, they are both such nice guys, such shining exemplars of intelligence and kindness. Oh, and of irony too.